Hi everyone, welcome to the Wine List. I'm Daniel Green and we're here to learn about fabulous wines from all over the world. And the person that's going to take us through this tour, Anthony Giglio, who's written 10 books, sommelier, connoisseur. You've been involved with airlines, you've been involved with restaurants. It's an amazing career, but you make it very easy for us to understand wines. It doesn't have to be so difficult.
I try to make it fun. More than anything, it has to be fun. That's why we're here.
We have a selection of 3 for all of our customers right now. 3 beautiful wines that we're going to go through on a tour of white, rosé, and red. Is that correct?
Correct, and they're all from France's Rhone Valley. And I was joking with you when we were talking earlier that everyone thinks, oh, Anthony Giglio, you're an Italian wine expert. And I say, actually, I like wine from everywhere on the planet. And in fact, I love the Rhone Valley. It's one of my favorite places on earth because of one grape, Grenache. And when I talk about Grenache, I'm talking about what's in all 3 of these wines, including a white that's Grenache Blanc, a rosé that's Grenache and Syrah, and a red that's Grenache and Syrah.
So tell me this, we're going to start with the white. When I was growing up, when you thought about French wines, you had to spend a lot of money on a French wine for it to really be good. And then suddenly the New World wines came out and it's like, oh, I can spend not so much and have a really nice white wine, from Chardonnays all the way through. Has that changed in recent years?
No offense, but that was a long time ago.
Okay. Don't age me.
It's not quite like that. I think there are great expensive wines all over the world, and there are plenty of values to be found from all corners of winemaking. Right. Yeah, French, for some reason, French has this this pedigreed stereotype of being very expensive, but there are a million values that I could show you from France, including these 3 right here, that are just amazing. And I could find 3 similarly priced from California or from Oregon or from Chile, Argentina. There's values to be found everywhere, and I'm going to pour them all for you right here.
That's good
on the wine list.
Okay, well, let's try on the wine.
Okay, so we have a beautiful white here, and I told you this is Grenache Blanc. Which is probably something not very well known here in the U.S. But Grenache, people hear Grenache, they think red wine. But there's also a white wine grape, Grenache Blanc, classic in the Rhone Valley. Rhone mixes a lot of grapes together. Unlike other regions where you find, like in Burgundy, it's only Pinot Noir for red and only Chardonnay for white. In the Rhone, they could make 13 grapes into one blend for the red, let's say, like a Chateauneuf du Pape. So there's a lot of blending going on there. Here we have at least Grenache Blanc, and 2 other esoteric grapes that you've never heard of, but I could tell you when, if you want to do some betting.
So you give this a swirl as well as a red. You do a white like this.
Like any wine, I would give it a little swirl, and then a little sniff, and I always joke, put my big Italian nose in the glass and sniff. What fruit comes to mind? Any fruit at all. Let's hope it's fruit, or it could be something earthy.
When you say earthy, I mean
it could be chalky.
A little bit of vanilla that maybe come in.
A little vanilla, sure. A lot of times people smell like, in great Rieslings from Alsace, France, or from Germany. You smell them, and people are afraid to say that they smell like gasoline or oil, and that's a classic.
Really?
And I borrow it from the Brits. We call it a lovely petrol nose. So petrol. But it's this oily characteristic that comes up, and it's dead ringer for a delicious Riesling. It doesn't taste like it though, of course, although I've never tasted oil like gasoline, but it's something that comes up in the nose. And this, to me, beautiful, there's like a chalkiness, like when you drive up a driveway after it rains and the gravel is wet, there's a smell of something like wet stone. It
terracotta gets that.
Yeah, exactly.
That damp terracotta you sometimes
Some of those wine chillers are made of that
as
too.
well.
Yeah, exactly, right. Okay. And then we taste. First sip does not count.
Tell us why this first sip doesn't count.
Because the first sip of any wine you taste also reflects what you just tasted. So if we just had a cup of coffee before break or brushed our teeth, the wine is going to be slightly flat.
How did you know I started that early in the morning when I brushed my teeth? We can brush our teeth in the afternoon before we go out. Okay, so
the second sip would be the one that balances. Let's taste it again. This one, you start to feel the tingle across your tongue. The fruit comes gushing in. The tide rises. If I don't swallow, I can't speak. Meanwhile, acidity will take it from front to back. Acidity, I like to say, is the Zamboni in wine. It rides across the palate, clears the palate of anything that's on it. Meanwhile, you start to salivate again. So this wine is balancing beautifully. Fruit, acid, salivate, dissipate. That's what I'm looking for.
Anthony, what I've just got in this is almost like a Chardonnay without the buttery. A Chardonnay without that guts, without the too many other conflicting flavors.
I would say, I mean, honestly, in a blind tasting, I might even think it's a Chablis because it's no oak, but it's got the richness of a Chardonnay without any of the oak or the weight or the heft or the butter or the vanilla, anything like that.
Oh, it's
to me,
gorgeous.
you know what it is? It's the weight, it's the plushness that makes it really pretty.
Very
now,
nice.
if you like this, and I said this to everybody, remember I said 2 sips? There's a 3rd sip that we need to do later when you cook me dinner, and it's this: food. Food is the third try. And I always say this to everybody: if you like it on the 1st sip, I mean, if we're taking 3 sips, right? Because the first one is to rinse, cleanse the palate, neutralize it.
Yeah.
2nd sip is where we start to taste the wine in action.
Yes.
If you like it like that, mission accomplished, job is done. But if you're not sure, and this is valid because people think, oh my God, I don't like it. Why don't I like it? Because maybe you'll need it to pop with food. And that could be, I say, fat and salt. It's not pretty, but think about it. A potato chip, salted nuts, your pinky in a little dish of olive oil, a big hunk of beautiful Parmigiano or Manchego or name the dry, hard cheese, and then you take a sip again, and it blooms. It still might not be your favorite wine, and that's totally fine if you don't like one of the wines I'm pouring for you, but
So
ultimately, I want it to pop.
If I got this set home, if I got 3 of these that we've got as an exclusive offer right now, tell me, what would I want to pair this with? Because you're talking about how we can get even more from this with food. What were you thinking? Because it's got a nice strength to this.
I'm going to say something crazy, but when we just made that allusion to Chablis, I mean, I could put this with shellfish easily. I might even have it with oysters, and it would be a little radical, but I would put it with that. But it's a classic creamy white with medium acid that I think would pair beautifully with anything you put on the table.
I'm almost thinking of apple, cinnamon, and maybe even pork. I mean, it's still got that strength. I think could take you through something light, even
because of
heavier than fish.
The weight is what it will help it. So I agree with you.
Okay, so one of my favorites now. I love rosés.
Why do you love rosé? I love that.
I love rosés because it makes me think of south of France. It makes me think of summer. It makes me think of having a glass of wine in the day. If I was having a lunch, I would love a rosé because there's something about it. I don't know if it's a holiday feel, but there's something special about it. But some of them can be a little bit too sweet. So I do like a nice dry one. What am I looking for here?
We don't want sweet. We're not talking about the white Zinfandels of our parents' past.
That's what put me off, I think.
Right, and that's when they were very sweet. And I always say to people who still tell me, like, confide as if it's a crime, like, please help me. I still like white Zinfandel. I say, there's help. There's beautiful rosé like this gorgeous Chapoutier Belle Rouge rosé, Grenache and Syrah blended, but they're not fully expressed. So here's trivia. Yeah. And I always joke when you're on your next you're on your next Jeopardy episode, and and Trebek says, this is the primary grape of Champagne or rosé. Believe it or not, they're red grapes. People are like, how could that be red wine? Champagne is mostly red wine, Pinot Noir and Pinot Meunier. But if you take any table grapes from the supermarket and squeeze them over this paper towel over this barrel, it's not here. What color is the juice?
It's going to be clear, isn't it?
Completely clear.
Yes.
All wine is born white. Red wine, until the skin falls into the barrel, stays white. So
it's the skin that creates that.
So
how do you? Did you say? I'm sorry. Did you say this is a mix or this is?
No, it's completely red wine.
Completely
grapes,
red.
Crushed, but minimum skin contact.
Minimum skin contact. So it's a blush of it. So it's just a little bit.
Exactly right. And that's how the name stuck here. When I was a kid, you didn't grow up here, but when I was a kid in the 70s, my parents would send me to the fridge for a glass of blush. And I'd reach in for the box and tap out the blush out of a boxed wine. I'm not kidding.
A boxed wine. Well,
that's how my people roll.
Boxed wines moved on in any, or is it still?
Boxed wines are amazing now. I mean, the quality of them is terrific.
Yeah.
But
well, and even the funny thing is, I know going back to Europe, we lost that snobbery of a screw top on wines many years ago. I haven't seen that here so much. It still feels like we're not there yet.
We are terrified. America is drinking more wine than anyone on the planet. We are in #1 place for wine consumption. And when I started to be sommelier 25 years ago, we were in like 14th place. So
is there anything?
Thank you everybody for keeping me working.
Is there anything wrong though with a screw top in today's world?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, that's
nothing.
Good to know.
Nothing. And actually, they preserve wine. They hermetically seal it. The problem is among collectors and those who want to hold on to wine for a while, without a cork, there's no development. But honestly, if you're like most red-blooded Americans who drink wine within 48 hours of purchase, bring on the screw cap. Cheers.
Very good. Cheers.
This has got red wine, a red wine accent. It's drier.
I love this.
It's got a little bit more depth and power.
You know, this, I know we're talking about food and we're about how you can add these. This to me on a summer's day, that's just one glass of wine that tastes fantastic.
I'm with you.
In the heat, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's Kool-Aid for adults in the summer, right? But Daniel, this is what I would say to you. it's not just summer anymore. In America, at least, and we're driving the French crazy, but they're still bringing the production because we're demanding it.
Yes.
We want rosé all year.
Well, it's like that summer's day that you have any
Right.
day. It just brings that lightness in. This is gorgeous. I love the two of those. We're going to move on because I want to try the red. We've got 3 of these right now. It's a nice pairing. I love how you've gone from the white. Would you say, I mean, would this be the perfect dinner party if we had the 3? If we had the 3, where would you place them? If I was doing appetizers, main course, desserts, how would you place these in a line?
I might put the rosé out in the beginning.
That's what I was thinking.
As an aperitif.
I was thinking that,
Yeah.
and then you could go with the white because it goes with, I think, pretty much everything, and then you could go for a red with maybe that cheese plate at the end.
Well, I might carry
the
the
beef.
red through a few courses, through a big savory, and like for a big savory course, and then bring it on with the cheeses. But yeah, it's completely different. So here we have, again, this is pretty interesting to say that this rosé and this red are both made with the same grapes, just different expressions. One is much lighter expression, less skin contact, and this is full-on skin contact.
So it's just the skin content that makes this the red?
Yes.
So it's exactly the same method other than a longer time?
A little bit. The different method would be that this is limited contact, and then it's taken away right away. This actually spends some time together. They have to fall in love and make that beautiful color. So cheers, brother. Right off the bat, even the nose is different because, again, same grapes but different wines. The nose is deeper. It's got beautiful. Do you know what this reminds me of? Lilac candies. My grandmother used to eat those chalky candies. I don't know if your grandmother did this, but
no, I know the ones you're talking about. What was the name of them? Violet creams.
Yes.
The violet creams.
Yeah, and there came a little foil pack. So it smells like that, and it tastes like it on the palate. You get a little bit of a chalkiness, a beautiful dryness. This is definitely in the European wheelhouse of wine. And here's what I say, Danielle, we were talking about old world, new world. We've spoken about this before. Americans love to know their grapes, and we like our grapes on the label, and it's not always possible. So when we have French wines like this, it's not going to happen, although it could be on the back. But we like to talk about fruit first. Everyone likes to say, I love a Cabernet, I love a Pinot Noir, and they have to be fruity and delicious right away. European wines are a little more shy. They like to be introduced to food as they're introduced to you.
Is there a rule of thumb where we always think red wine when we think with beef, red wine with lamb? I love a Chardonnay, I love a white wine, and I will have that with a beef course if that's what I'm looking for. Is there any rule of thumb with that?
There is absolutely no rule of thumb. It's whatever you think is going to be delicious is delicious. But sure, are there classic pairings? Absolutely. But one of the many hats I wear, I answer questions online. People hire me to play online sommelier for them, and I have to answer questions. And one of the funniest ones I've ever gotten was, dear Anthony, we just put the steaks on the grill and we only have Chardonnay. Now what? And it's as if I'm standing there. They didn't text me. They emailed me, and I happened to catch it. I wrote, "You're going to have a terrific bottle of Chardonnay and a great steak tonight." And
you know, that's what it is.
It's better than water.
Do you know?
That's it. It's better than water.
Do you know what I would love everyone to do right now? I'd love you to try the selection of 3 because you're going to have fun with a dinner party. You're going to bring your friends together and you have chosen the wine that you love. That doesn't mean that it has to be something that's written down on a book. It's what you like with it. So you might make that classic dish that Grandma makes and it's going to go with that rosé. You might have the next course and you've paired it up, or the cheese plate and you've got it with the red. Have some fun with these. They've been hand selected for you right here. What we're going to do, powered by Uncorked.com, is get you an amazing selection right here on EVINE.com in a beautiful selection of wines from all around the globe. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, David.